Hello again. Welcome to another talk, another meditation, another talk. I don't know how long it's been, but it's the right time to do a new talk. And this one is called Spiritual Bypassing. And what is spiritual bypassing? It's basically using a spiritual tool or spiritual philosophy rather it's the ego trying to move away from something. Or you might, on your spiritual path, if you're in inner healing, you may get to a point where subconsciously you don't want to feel or want to be whatever is coming up in that moment, and so the ego wants to bypass that. Like a good example, probably, let's just say a spiritual teacher is telling you to the ego doesn't exist, but the ego does exist, and he would be saying that because he's facing something in that moment, so he wants to believe the ego doesn't exist, and that automatically bypasses the ego. That's a great trick the ego loves, is to not exist. But of course the ego does exist. And there's no getting away from that. And I'm just using that as an example. And it is ego that wants to bypass, that does take part in this spiritual bypassing. Because you're not going to heal anything while you're in that mode. And this spiritual bypassing topic, is out there, and it is a very real thing. And I thought today it would be a good thing to talk about. It's probably been many months since I've done any talks. Because as well as having my own spiritual awakening journey for 12 plus years, I'm also being my mum's registered carer for 6+ years now. So I'm trying to juggle a lot of different things, and when you're doing that, you get better all the time. If you're a person, you might be watching this, listening to this, you might have a couple of jobs, so you know what that means. If you try to juggle loads of things. But I think it's something I'm getting better at. But back to the topic in hand. Yeah, so this is a very important thing to talk about, because, like I say, it's a lot of people are using this, and those people would probably get triggered by this talk. Probably would be very triggered by this subject, because they want to believe whatever the ego is saying. It's because if someone's saying everything doesn't exist, marvelous. Because then if it's all a dream, then they don't have to take responsibility for doing certain things. Maybe did this bad to someone, this bad to someone else, and they can just say they don't exist. The whole non-dual thing is great for that, isn't it? To just say that nothing exists and to just completely disregard certain responsibilities. So it's very important to recognize this and pay attention to yourself when your ego is getting involved when fear arises, pay attention to yourself when you're triggered. When you're being triggered, pay attention to that. Meditate on it. I saw something today on the internet. That meditation is evil. Oh, and there again, that was a religious person on the internet. Not going to say who it was. I can't actually remember who it was, but I did see it today. And what was the channel called? Something to do with Jesus Saves or something like that. And there again, you have another good example of spiritual bypassing. We see it with religious believers. They become part of a religion, and they then, if spiritual New Age can heal them, let's say a certain type of healing can heal them, they get triggered, so the ego then will attack the New Age field, and then they'll say Jesus is the answer and everything. Well, he's not the answer, because you're obviously unhealed. You haven't healed. You're using spiritual bypassing. You're virtue signaling your love for Christ. Oh, good, well, but these people do this. Another example, religious people do this a lot also, spiritual bypassing. Another example is, whatever we perceive outward, it's inner, it's a reflection. Now, someone who is doing spiritual bypassing, the ego will get triggered and say that isn't true. When you start to awaken, I had an unexpected spiritual awakening 12 plus years ago, and I realized very quickly that everything was basically inner is outer. It's all a reflection. And I didn't follow no psychologists on the internet or something by then. When I had the spiritual awakening, it was totally unexpected. I did nothing to get it. I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't even know that there was such a thing. I'm not going to go into that just now, but when it happened, I had enough one day. And it was like a moment, and then it triggered an awakening. It took me years to work out it was actually called a spiritual awakening. But one of the changes was recognizing what things are, and from that moment on, it was an inner path. And it's only when I was going in that pathway could I start to face inner issues, emotional issues, spiritual issues, stuff in the bloodline, stuff beyond the bloodline, collective consciousness stuff, things on the planet. These are all things that you're healing. But when you're spiritual bypassing, non-awakening, you're not going to pay attention to important things. You're going to use it. You're going to excuse it. You're going to use an excuse. It's like an alcoholic. They're going out drinking. There's nothing to celebrate. The only time I drink ever, if I drink, is Christmas period. I like the odd wine at Christmas, New Year, and if you say it to them, they'll run out the door or they won't want to hear it. So again, spiritual bypassing. You should ask yourself, are you one of these people? And if you are, pay attention. You see? And this spiritual bypassing things happen everywhere. And one of the, like I said earlier about the religious people, yeah, they do that a lot. Well, a lot of the time when they see Jesus saves, they don't really believe that. They don't really. They don't really believe that someone's going to come back from thousands of years ago. They just say these things, obviously. But they use it to virtue signal. And with virtue signaling comes ego, comes narcissism, and also comes spiritual bypassing. They're all connected. So I'm not here to bring anyone down. I'm here to make you aware, or others aware, that this thing is going on. And maybe you can go away and maybe pay attention to yourself. This is all stuff that, like I said, when my awakening started, I didn't know anything about it beforehand. My mum's side of the family done tarot readings and, psychics things, but none of them ever told me anything about a spiritual awakening. When I was going through, I asked my mum and she didn't know. Because I don't think there's the family, they've done psychic, they've done palmistry, mediumship, that kind of thing. So I had no help, didn't even know what it was. Took years to work it out. I had to watch many videos to find out where it's actually called a spiritual awakening. But yeah, just before I finish the talk, before I wrap this up, so after this talk, go away and think to yourself, are you spiritual bypassing? Is someone that you know spiritual bypassing? It'll be one or the other. And like I say, you see this a lot with religious believers. I don't think religious believers really believe, because they're so touchy, they're so sensitive. What I found from my awakening, when I first had it, I got this, not belief with doubts, but this knowing, this unbelievable faith. It was like a knowing. I just was so aware of what was going on. And I think that's the difference. I think it's the awakening. It really gives you that clarity and this unbelievable faith. Faith so strong that it just like breaks through your psyche. That you know the way now. And when you're going on the inner path, you go through the consciousness, and with that comes DNA, cosmic healing. It's all connected. But I'm going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, and more, please visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.